Okay, boys and girls. So, what we're going to go ahead and take a look at today is another expansion on drawing in perspective. And this time, instead of 1 point perspective, we are going to look at drawing 3D objects in 2 point perspective. So, unlike last time, and this is an example from last time, you were drawing 3D shapes in 1 point perspective. Now, this time what we're going to be doing is drawing them in 2 point perspective. And the reason why it's called 2 point perspective is because there are literally 2 points, two vanishing points that you'll be connecting your orthogonal lines to. Now, orthogonal lines and vanishing points, that shouldn't be a confusing term for you, but just in case you are not sure from last time, or if you didn't watch the video from last time, I'll go over what those mean quickly, and then we'll get started with our second drawing exercise. So as you see here, that point in the center is called the vanishing point, and that is where all of your lines are led to in a 1 point perspective drawing. Now your orthogonal lines are the red lines that are leading to the vanishing point, and it's connecting all of the other lines from the buildings to that point to create the illusion that everything is vanishing into that space, creating that 1 point perspective kind of illusion. So now let's look at a 2 point perspective drawing. So now instead of one vanishing point, you have two vanishing points on either side of the paper where your orthogonal lines will all lead to. So the difference between a 1 point perspective drawing and a 2 point perspective drawing is the amount of vanishing points. In this drawing, we will have two vanishing points. So let's go ahead and get started on our actual drawing. And what I'm doing to create my horizon line and to find the center of my paper is I'm going to fold my paper in half to create that horizon line. So next I'm grabbing my pencil and I'm grabbing a ruler. Side note, if you're not using a ruler and you're not measuring your orthogonal lines towards the vanishing points, which by the way, I can tell when you're not doing that, I am going to start taking off points from your practice pieces. But anyway, so I went ahead and I drew my horizon line. I drew it nice and dark. And then I went ahead and I drew two vanishing points. So a dot on the left-hand side and a dot on the right-hand side. Those are the points where we will be drawing our lines to in order to create 2 point perspective shapes. So the next thing we're going to go ahead is start defining the corner of the cube. Now since we're only drawing basic shapes right now, we're going to go ahead and just draw a vertical line up and down to define that edge of the cube. Next we'll go in and we will draw lines connecting from our vanishing point to the end of the line. So a line to the vanishing point connecting to the bottom of our vertical line and a line to the vanishing point at the top of our vertical line. So one right there meets at the edge of my cube, and then another one up at the top towards the vanishing point. So then we need to do the same thing to the second vanishing point. So two lines from the corners of my cube, both meeting up to the vanishing point. Once we're done with that, all we need to do is define the ends of the cube in space. And what we'll do is we'll draw two more vertical lines, one on the left side, one on the right side, straight up and down to define the edge of the cube. Now we're almost done with this shape, or this 3D cube, but because our cube is drawn below the horizon line, naturally we would see the top of the cube because we're looking at it from up above, because the cube is resting below the horizon line. So what we need to do is define the top of the cube. Now in order to do that, we're going to draw one more line from that top left point of the cube all the way to the right vanishing point. And then we need to do the same to the top right of the cube and draw a line all the way across to the left vanishing point. So the top right to the left vanishing point. And there we have a finished 3D 2-point perspective cube. So now we can go through and erase all of those unnecessary orthogonal lines that we used earlier. So let's go ahead and check out what happens when we draw our cube above the horizon line. So this time we're going to do the same thing, draw an up and down vertical line, just straight up and down, as straight as you can make it. Next, we'll go ahead and draw two lines connecting to the vanishing point, one on the top of the vertical line and one at the bottom of the vertical line. And we're going to draw them to this right and the left vanishing point. I'm going to start with the right hand one here, lining it up as even as I can, directly to the vanishing point, drawing one straight line down, and again to the bottom of that line. So now same thing on the left hand side, two lines from the top of the vertical line and from the bottom of the vertical line. Next, we can define the edges of our cube by drawing vertical lines up and down in that space that we just previously drew. So a vertical line here, or wherever you'd like to put it, and a vertical line there. That's the edge of our cube. Now again, because our cube is above the horizon line, we're looking at it from below. So what that means is this time we have to go ahead and define the bottom of the cube. So what I did there was I drew a line from that left hand side vertical line all the way to the vanishing point, and now I'll draw a line from my right hand vertical line, which is defining the sides, to the vanishing point. And I know it sounds really confusing, but it really just takes some practice. But there you go, you should have two 3D cubes in 2-point perspective. Now I'll go ahead and I'll add two more 3D shapes, like another one on the top and another one on the bottom. And I'd like you to take this time to go ahead and add two more as well. So in total, for your final drawing exercise, you should have a total of 4 3D cubes, which I'll have at the end here as well. So I will fast forward the video. Please take your time. If you need to go back and rewatch anything or rewatch the steps, please do so. Again, please take your time. I know a lot of you haven't really been watching the videos as often as you should, and please remember I can always tell. So definitely take your time with this and go back if you need to.